out to Wendie. She's more than just a girl, so much more than you can see. Look at her in her sweetest destiny. She walks on earth inside the sky. She is not alone, and she knows why. This girl is on fire. She is radiant. This girl is on fire. She is confident. She looks like a tiny spark, but she's a raging flame. She's lost so many things, but so importantly, the shame. She wants nothing more than one more perfect day. And if you listen now, you can almost hear her say, y'all get it with me. This girl is on fire. She's a raging flame. This girl is on fire. Don't you forget her name. Where are we at here? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter when you look inside her eyes. All of her tears are angel wings. And so she sings and sings. This girl is on. She's a raging storm. This girl is on fire. And with that, we're going to invite up one of my, Wendie Kause.
Wow. Now how am I going to talk?
That's what you needed, hon.
All right, I saw Kleenexes all over the place. I need a bit. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I've never done that before. Wow. Oh, now how am I supposed to follow that? That's what I want to know.
Good.
Oh. Crazy. Do I stand up here? Usually I stand over here though, right? Can y'all hear me? Because me and my big old mouth. I'm gonna wake you up. Oh wow, Carmen, you're just amazing. All right, I dare anybody to hear something like that.
Can you tell my husband that?
If he doesn't know, he should. Wow, I love you. Thank you. I'm so honored.
If you guys don't know this about Wendie, she sold everything.
Sold it all.
And took off. And I'll let her tell the story.
Okay.
But this girl is on fire.
But thank you all for having me and listening to my talk. I'd like a recording of that someday. Prove to my husband that I am as awesome as I think I am. So, some new faces here. I've had the opportunity to speak here a few times, and it's been my honor. And it's just the most incredible thing to be able to share my story, my joy, and my fire with you all. Back in October, it'll be 4 years ago, my husband and I sold everything that we owned and bought an RV, paid off debt, and we live on the road. We were able to do that. COVID hit, and my business, I was a business coach, and it closed because who was getting any leadership or sales training for that whole year? I was just getting ready to gear back up and start working again, and my husband had been struggling with the VA for 10 years. He got hurt in Iraq serving our country, and the VA found it not important to take care of him. And 10-year fight, and they finally said okay, and they awarded him 100% VA benefits. So we decided to give up money for joy, and we have been traveling the U.S. every winter, fall, winter, spring, and we come back to Lewiston every summer. And we definitely stay through hunting season. I'm up in Elk River right now, and that's where we're going to be until November. And I've done this every year now for, since 2021. And this year, however, I'm actually really excited, guys. We're going to stay here for the winter. We just want to kind of recoup and breathe a little bit and whatnot. Our goal is to go back east. Florida Keys is our destination. And we've had some setbacks, and the trailer has had some trouble. 4 years rolling, going 10, 20,000 miles. In a few months, it wears and tears. So it's cut into our budget. Sitting still is the best way to save money because you're not paying for fuel and whatnot. We boondock. So between that and just the need, my husband lost his brother last year, October 5th, as a matter of fact. And he has not adjusted well, and he needed his people. So we're going to... He's got all his vet friends and our family and whatnot are here, and he needs that time to be surrounded by folks. So that's why we're going to stay. On the upside, once we get down from Elk River, I'm really excited because I want to get involved here at least for a few months before we hit the road again in the summer. And all the things that you're talking about that y'all are doing, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that. So I'll have a few months to be able to get involved and maybe even do some things that you might want to participate in. We'll see. I don't know how that's going to come about. So a couple of quick announcements before I get on to my talk. I didn't want to talk about my happy joy because I knew I was going to be up here chattering. I faced my own fear. I have been doing watercolor art since I hit the road. And for a couple of years now, friends and family have told me that I need to put my art in the fair. And for the last 4 years, I've been abandoning my art, giving it away. A few people have purchased it, but mostly just abandoning it and giving it away. And it feels really good to just share that joy of my artistic journey. And putting something in for pure judgment, I was afraid it might change my mind and make me feel bad if I didn't get anything, any recognition at all, that it might change my mindset for the pureness of doing my art. And then I was also afraid, it's kind of, to me, selfish, because it wasn't to share. It was all about me. That was all about my own ego and recognition and all of that. So for the last couple of years, I've just not done it because it's like, oh, no, I don't want to be judged and I don't want to change the dynamics. But I went ahead and put a couple of pieces in and I got first place for both of them. Yeah. I'm so happy. I'm really happy. Yeah, well, I wasn't so sure, but I'm pretty tickled. So pretty excited about that. And so there's that. That was my good story. And a couple other announcements is I will be doing Hagwa and Jagua, you know, the tattoo art, and henna at 2 upcoming events. One is the fall, the street deal on the 26th of September on Clarkston. They're doing like this whole, I don't even know what it's called. What's it called? Do you remember, Ann?
Street walk.
Street walk, yeah, street walk, yeah. So I'll be down at Eclipse doing henna and jagua, and so I'll be doing that. I'm also going to be in the art walk, have my art displayed. That's one of the reasons I have to leave right after the service today, because I got to go meet up with the Blue Lantern, and I've brought all my art, and we got to go through it and make some decision of what's going to be there. So that's October 3rd and 4th, is that right? Friday the 3rd, Saturday the 4th. So if you're interested in the art walk, I'll be all over the Blue Lantern. How cool is that? And then on the 11th of October, there's an extravaganza, a sip and shop extravaganza at the Nez Perce Fair Building, and I'll be doing henna and jagua there. And I'm pretty excited about that. So if you guys want more information, just follow me on Facebook or whatever. I'll be posting it all over the place, but just want to let you know I'm in town. You know, I'm really busy with all that. So, but with all that said, again, thank you all so much for being here. And I actually made some notes because I always get a little nervous when I get chattering, and I want to make sure that I stay on track, because anybody knows me knows that I can just get to babbling onto everything, you know? No. But today we're going to talk about those things that make us fearful. And not the things so much, but how we react from them. I want to share that we can turn from that fire and go right into radiance. I mean, you are in control of your emotions. So many folks think that they're not. But our emotions are something that we can become aware of and kind of get a hold of it. Like, I've always had to learn how to control my mouth. It only took, I'm 57. I think maybe I learned how to do that when I was 51. No, hell, I never learned it. So, but the fear is one of the things that kind of binds us together. I mean, there isn't a human being on the face of the planet who doesn't have fear. And one of the things that we do is we try to turn away from it, kind of like grief. We try to turn away from it as quickly as we can. You get that physical feeling. Where do you feel fear? You don't have to say if you want to, but don't you get that churning feeling, and you get the goosebumps? Your heart starts racing. You get a little sweaty and the agitated feeling. Well, the fact of the matter is most emotions do turn into a physical reaction. And when you explain fear, that excited feeling, that nervous, kind of jittery feeling, the heart racing, the sweating, that feeling of, oh my gosh, and you're just like this, right? You know what else feels like that? Sex.
What? What's that?
What's that?
Yeah, right? They're both the exact same physical reaction. When you're excited, you kind of physically feel the same way. So the intention of this talk today is to recognize that fear is a reality, and you can't say you don't feel it. You can't say, oh, I don't have all those physical and emotional reactions, because it truly exists. What the intent is to take it when you're in the throes of it and actually turn it to your advantage. I've had to do this multiple times, selling everything I own and hitting the road. I mean, oh my gosh, are you crazy? I spent my whole life building it. Back in 2012, starting my own business. The first time I was asked to speak in public, I about died. Now I still get a little butterfly-y, but it's not nearly as fearful. I mean, when you face that fear, that a lot of times what you might have spent months and days and weeks or whatever trying to avoid or talk yourself down from, when you actually step into the situation that may be causing that fear, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. Nobody died. You know, I mean, you might get bored, but nobody's going to die. That's for sure. So when you resist the emotion, when you resist, you try to pretend that fear doesn't exist, what is it going to do? Persists, exactly. And if you pretend, I'm not fearful, I'm not sad, I'm not this, I'm not that, that's toxic happiness. Because we all know that's BS. I mean, there might be a couple enlightened souls that walk around happy 24/7, but it isn't about avoiding it or denying it. It's about stepping right into the middle of it. And that sounds really kind of easy going, like, oh, easy, easy, easy. No, there are actual steps. I'm actually going to teach some steps today that will help you walk through when you start feeling that fear that holds you back from being, doing, and having exactly what it is that you want to be. That to me is the saddest thing. So many folks will allow fear to hold them back from the things that they really want to do. Another thing I do is I ride motorcycle. I have an 1800 Goldwing motorcycle. I love being large and in charge. It allows me to be able to handle that big motorcycle. You have no idea how many times I run into people going, oh, I just wish I could ride a motorcycle like you're doing. That is just the coolest thing, but I'm just so afraid. Now, if you really, really want to do something and you allow fear to hold you back from doing it, come on. I mean, let's just do it, right? And if I can teach even just one person or inspire one person to step right into that fear, then I've done a good thing, right? And that's my intention today. So fear is on a frequency. Emotions are on a frequency. As Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force, has anybody ever heard of him? Highly recommend that book. He talks about our frequencies of emotion. And I'm going to read my notes here because I'll forget all these little things. There's different ranges, and I don't know if y'all can see this. He does this little visual, this little on the low end to the high end of your emotions. And the crazy thing is that the lower end is the suffering and survival. The middle is transformation and flow. And that's where most of us kind of hang out, in that transformation and flow. And when you can face some of the things that might be holding you back, that's where most of the transformation and the growth comes from. And then at the top is pure enlightenment. You know, the Buddhas, the Jesus, really high up people that I strive to be that no, it's not going to happen this time. I get too mad too often. People just piss me off. So I don't think I could get there. But at the lower end frequencies, you're dealing with shame, guilt, grief, which is all fear-based. In the middle, most of us hang out in just kind of different levels of desire, anger, and pride. That's on the lower end of the middle range. And would you not agree that, unfortunately, the majority of the human race is at least in that space? Desire, anger, and pride. Makes me sad. So and we all hit there once in a while. Higher frequencies are love, joy, peace, and then finally enlightenment. Love, joy, peace. I have to admit, finally, that's where I have the biggest opportunity to hang out. I'm not enlightened, but I do live in a lot of love and joy. And peace comes naturally with that. And that is a wonderful place to spend most of your time. And the biggest reason that we don't spend as much time there is fear. What happens if you're vulnerable? You can get hurt. What happens if you make some fearless decisions? You could lose everything and it's a failure. You know, there's all these fears. It's not that it doesn't exist. As an example, starting my business really could have sucked. But I worked really, really hard and I pushed through and I changed a lot of lives. I improved a lot of businesses and I made a lot of money. I couldn't have if I would have sat in fear and the security of just sticking with my regular job. Not that a regular job is bad, but this is what I always wanted to do. And so you just do it. You move through the fear. Selling everything, buying an RV, hitting the road, not knowing what we're doing. Now, one thing I want to note, in 4 years of doing this, my husband and I have a tendency in the traveling to go to back to places we're familiar with. It's like, oh, because now we know Lake Havasu in this restaurant. Now we know Quartzsite in this restaurant, or what have you. And so last year, we made a concerted effort to go outside of our comfort zone, and it was really fun. And next year, all goes well, we're heading back east. And he's never really traveled much back east, so that's going to be interesting. But we're both a little nervous about it, a little scared, got that little tickly thing going on in the belly. Because we'll be so far away from anybody. It's not a 2-day trip to come help us from our friends and family if something goes wrong. We'll be, Florida. So, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway. So, I just want to emphasize again that ignoring it is not the key. Letting it pretending it doesn't exist is, excuse my language, but total bullshit. Because it does exist. We do get afraid. We do get nervous. We do get the shakes. We do get those feelings. One of the things that I studied, I wish I couldn't find the reference, but I do remember that I read this article about grief. Grief is right in there with fear. And this article said that people can be suffering from grief and for years. I mean, I don't know about you, but have you met anybody who has never recovered from the loss of somebody, whether it be a death or a divorce or something like that? And 20 years later, they're still heavily in the middle of that grief. And that just breaks my heart when I see that. Well, they did this study where they took people through this process that I'm going to teach you in a minute. And they were able to get beyond that grief feeling within minutes. That gut-wrenching, bend over, can't function in minutes. By simply stepping through and feeling the feeling of the grief, of accepting it and accepting it into their body, emotionally and physically. It was pretty amazing. I wish I knew the study. If I can find it, I'll forward it off so people can read on that. Fear is in the exact same circle, exactly the same circle. When I began my personal enlightenment story, I guess you could say, my joyful story, I started going on personal retreats. I would spend 3 to 4 days alone in the woods with no electronics. My husband would drop me off in the woods, and no TV, no phone, no nothing for 4 days. And I would read, I'd meditate, I'd hike, I'd do all those things. But one thing I did have was this crazy fear of the dark. Out there in the middle of the woods, I mean, that makes sense, right? You don't want animals to come and eat you up or whatever. But it wasn't so deep into the woods that some bear's going to come eat me. We're talking Hawaii, out there. There's not a lot of dangerous stuff. It's just that crazy fear. So I sat into a meditation, walked this through, and I watched the moon. I focused on the moon coming up over the ridge. And I didn't move, I just sat there. I used it as a meditative tool and watched this moon come up. And the sounds awaken in the woods and the rippling of the water and just even an owl came out and hooted a little bit as I'm watching this full moon come up through the trees and light the sky. It was the most transcendental thing that had ever happened to me. I just sat there, and how long does it take for a moon to rise all the way up? Like a half hour, from base to kind of high in the sky. And I was in pure bliss. That's the only way I can describe it. There was no fear, there was no worry. I was able to just kind of dive into the middle of the whole feeling. And before I knew it, like I said, I was just like not even there. And it was amazing. And I was like, oh my, this is great. Holy shit. And boom, back into myself and into the reality. And it was really dark. And it was like, and the fear took over again. And I went, okay, that was cool. I had that experience. And I stepped back into the trailer because I couldn't stay out. But do you understand? For a half hour, I was able to just sit there and enveloped in this dark. And then the reality came back in, and I wasn't like freaked out, but it felt better to get back inside. Now, the reason why I tell this story is because after that, when I got home after that first retreat, my husband said to me, I was much more calm. My friends mentioned that I wasn't so sharp. I'm a very A-type personality. I was more patient. I was more quiet. I slowed down in my speaking. I didn't even realize the intensity of that change by just sitting in the midst of my fear and in meditating, using the moon as my tool, how much that changed my overall experience in life. I wasn't intending to calm the heck down. I wasn't trying to change. I was just trying to deal with my fear of the dark. It was weird. And it was profound. And I think you even mentioned, that there was something different in me. And it was pretty phenomenal. So that's why I chose this topic to share with you, is that extreme change from just one meditation is my desire. If y'all doesn't have to be fear, it could be whatever other thing. You can apply the exact same techniques that I'm going to share with you, okay? Does that make any of this make sense? Okay. It makes sense to me, but, I always wonder. So that shift, it was a totally unconscious shift. I need to not. Am I Italian? Did I move this over more?
We need to lower it below the strike zone.
I doubt that's going to help, but we'll give it a shot.
And when you talk with her hands.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This has been, I swear I was an Italian in another lifetime. So one of the ways that was a meditation. So I'm going to talk about, I think I've used this as an example in another talk before, is that everything is on a frequency, right? We all know it's all energy. Does everybody agree with that? Life, everything is energetic. Emotions, our physical beings, we're just vibrating at different levels. And probably because I worked in radio for 10 years, I really like the idea of imagining that the frequencies of all those emotions from low to high being in the airwaves like a radio station. And they are always there. They're absolutely always there. Everything, from the lowest to the highest, everything that we desire is in the airwaves. It's in the energetic sphere for us to tap into. Happiness, sadness, joy, anger, guilt, shame, desire, jealousy, all of it is out there in the airwaves for us to tap into. So my belief, my experience is that you can actually tune the dial to tap into whatever frequency it is that you desire. If you're sitting in shame, you can tune your dial up to joy. If you're in guilt, you can actually tune the dial and tap into joy. Does that make sense to everybody here? That it absolutely everything we ever desire, emotion or physical, exists on an energetic plane. And we all so often feel that things happen to us, that we have to battle. Well, that's absolutely true. All sorts of things happen to us in this world. How you deal with it depends on what frequency you tune into. And that's what I am suggesting. I tuned into the I'm not afraid of the dark frequency. And it was wonderful. Now my fear of the dark is a little bit more realistic. If I'm really out in Elk River and deep in the woods, yeah, I'm going to watch out for cougars and bears. That's a realistic instead of that unneeded fear that I had.
Discernment versus fear.
Exactly, exactly.
Didn't hear that.
She said discernment versus kind of an unneeded fear, unnecessary fear. So that is kind of the goal. If that's the visual that you would like to make, think of a radio station that you're dialing into. I'm feeling this, but I'd like to feel that. I'm feeling that, but I'd like to feel this. And how do you tune that dial? We all know about meditation. Okay? Meditation is such a powerful tool. I used to struggle all the time sitting for, I thought you had to sit for no less than an hour, staring at the tip of your nose, saying, cross-legged while your low back is on fire, your legs are cramping, but you're not allowed to move. That's meditation. I don't know how many years I spent trying to perfect that. It might look cool on the outside, but on the inside, I'm a disaster. There's zero meditation going on. It was all ego trying to look cool. So meditation, yes, it can be sitting for 2 or 3 hours, staring at the tip of your nose and doing that. Great, that's awesome. If you're a Rinpoche or a Buddhist or something that you've practiced and focused on, awesome. But most of us cannot do that. So what we do is we avoid meditation. There are as many ways to meditate as there are stars in the sky. When I was working with clients, I didn't talk about the woo-woo side of meditation so much. I just talked to them about tuning in just for a few minutes, unplugging from the chaos of the world. And has anybody heard of the 4-square breathing method? Okay. Military use this. Firefighters use this before they're getting ready to go into fight a fire, or military going to fight a war or something. And it's as simple as breathing in for the count of, and we're all going to do this, okay? It's for, I'm going to talk it through first and then we'll do it. It's breathing in for the count of 4, holding for the count of 4, breathing out through the mouth for a count of 4, and observing for a count of 4. It is as simple as that. And it is the most centering, quick meditation that you can do, in my opinion. It works wonders. So let's go ahead and give it a try, okay? We're gonna breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Observe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice deep breath. Whew. I don't know about you, but I just got goosebumps everywhere, and I didn't even do it. I feel you. That can be done a dozen times a day. When you're feeling whatever emotion, if it's a wonderful emotion, you can absorb it and be in it fully for that 16 seconds. Or if it's a negative emotion, fear, that you want to move through, it gives you a base to begin. Meditation doesn't, when you're sitting in it, whether it's 16 seconds or 16 hours, you're not after a particular outcome. You're just being in the energetic moment, surrounded by all. One other way that I love to do meditation for laymen and everyday activity in life, I'm a smoker, sorry, but in the mornings, that's my meditation. I sit on the deck, which is usually the ocean, the desert, this, beautiful places, and I don't do anything but have that cigarette and stare, meditate. Not healthy, but that's my timing. Another thing that you can do if you're not a horrible, filthy smoker like me, listen to a song all the way through. Don't do anything, no fidgeting, no singing. No singing along, Carmen. Literally listen to a song all the way through. Sit quietly. deeply listen to the words, you might learn some things. I know, sometimes I listen to a song and go, that's what that song's about. And do nothing but that. And me and a girlfriend did this once. I had got one of those new washer dryer things with you could see the window through the washer. You look down in it, and we stared into the spin cycle until it was done. We didn't say anything, didn't do anything, just stared at it. And that was our meditation. It doesn't have to be a formal situation. It's just unplugging from the typical mental activity. Watch a moon come up, watch a sun go down, watch the sun come up. That could be just a few minutes whenever you catch it to, as much as a half hour, 45 minutes if that's what you want. Little tiny things that you can do just to unplug and center yourself that isn't a full-blown meditation is my number one recommendation to get that grounding first without setting a goal, just being in the overall frequency. You might be really surprised what comes out on the other end of that without any set intentions. And the final thing is feeling the fear. This isn't necessarily a meditation, but it's a very conscious effort. When we first talked, I said that fear is a physical sensation, right? You get the tickle in the stomach, the goosebumps, the hair stands up on the back of your neck. You got that fight or flight. What is that? F everything and run. You know, you get that crazy feeling, which again can be associated with a lot of other emotions, right? So it's not necessarily bad, but we associate it to be bad. But feel that feeling. Feel where it's sitting in your body. A lot of times it's going to be right here. A lot of people, if you're getting ready to speak in public, it's going to be right here, right? If you have to approach somebody with a challenge, a loved one that you got to talk about, you didn't take the trash out or whatever that may be, you feel it here. So when you're feeling that fear, identify where you find it in your body. Just take a moment. Be in it. Just sit in it. Feel it fully. Identify where it's at. Feel it completely. And if it's on fire right here, let it burn. Let it burn right here in the center. Don't avoid it. Let it bloom. Let it fill up your body with that fear. Face it, basically. Ask what it wants. 9 out of 10 times a fear is actually showing you what's important. Scared to death to speak the first time. I knew it was really important, but I think I even threw up the first time I spoke in front of a crowd. And it wasn't even as big as this crowd. It was like 5 people. And I was like, it was just, I wish I would have had this. I probably wouldn't have thrown up. So ask it, what is it trying to tell you? Is it trying to clarify how important this situation is? Is it truly trying to tell you to step away? Cougars and bears in the dark? Is it a reality versus a mental? Your body doesn't know the difference between the mental thought, the truth of the mental thought, and the physicality. Like if you did see a cougar, it sets in that fight or flight type thing. That's a normal reaction. So ask it what it wants. What is it trying to communicate to you? And then reframe it. Remember I said all those physical reactions are kind of like sex? It's all the same kind of feeling you get when you're in the throes. So reframe it. Yes, I'm feeling all of these things. Let's make it positive. It's going to be exciting to get up on stage and talk for the first time. It's going to be exciting to let go of everything. It's going to be wonderful to walk the Camino 500 miles, even though that's scary as heck, right? So you just shift it from your thought of what it is. Now that you've clarified it, step into it and shift it to positive. And I bet you're never going to be able to think about all those sensations without sex again. Or the memory of it. And then anchor it. Now that you've identified it, you sat in it, you didn't run away from it, anchor it. In other words, even though it scares the crap out of you, step forward and do it anyway. But those steps of meditation and these actual 5 steps, the feel the feeling, name the fear, ask what it is, what it wants, reframe it, and then take action. I promise you, if you consciously take those steps, moving into the things that make you afraid will be easier. Not perfect, but easier. All you need to do is start every day with a little bit of consciousness. The meditation opens up the foundation to be able to accept this process. And it doesn't have to be a 2-hour, 1 hour, half hour, 15-minute ordeal. Meditation can be short and sweet and multiple times throughout the day to anchor you to the ground. And I hope this helps everyone to step into the fear and become radiant, as I know everyone here is. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
One step at a time, one bite at a